Well, when my granddad came, he was head gardener at Craigcrook from 1902 to 13. And then he came down. Now, my father and my two aunts were all born at Craigcrook. So when he came down here, the family was, they had the three family. And as my granddad said, money was very tight in those days. And he had come down, why he came to Carline Park, he was looking for a garden to rent. And he had gone out to Vogrie at Dalkeith to see Vogrie Castle Garden. And he said, I was sitting there in the hall looking at this big picture of Vogrie in winter. And he said, I looked at this picture and he said, I thought to myself, do I want to be here at Vogrie in winter? He said, it looked terrible. And he said, the other thing about Vogrie was it was an awful lot of moss growing in the garden, on the ground. There was moss growing everywhere. And he said, I didn't like the idea of it. He said, it didn't look very well drained. So he says, although I saw the factory, he said, in my mind, I wasn't going there. So he came down to Carline Park. And as he said, money was very tight. And he said, there was this young lad, now they would leave school at probably 13. Lad lived in Granton, came along, is there any chance of a job? So he said, I could have done with somebody to give me a help. So he said, I said to this lad, yes. And he said, there was 1 week, John, he says, I didn't have enough money to give the laddie his wage. So you can imagine what he was getting. And my granddad said, what was the, he said, I would have been bankrupt. I couldn't have kept going. But what happened when the spring came, the garden just burst into life. He said there was thousands, if not tens of thousands, of daffodils. Bluebells, pink bluebells and white bluebells, and he said we got those bunched, and he says it just gave us a great start, and he said that's what started us off. And then they thought, there's a lot of people walked in those days, and Sundays, you know, Saturdays and Sundays, so they thought of getting a wee shop going, because at the northwest corner of the garden you've got the door out, what we called into the outlook. It was 10 foot square. It had wrought iron, a wall about 3 feet high, and a wrought iron fence on the top of it with a wrought iron gate going out to the east side, and there were steps went right down to the West Shore Road. So it was quite easy for folk to come up into it. So my granddad got a shed and put it inside the castle and looked out one of the, it was actually the little chapel. It had 3 windows in it. You can see part of that one window at the end wall right now. You can see the side of the window. I can't remember the name. So they served out through one of the windows into the outlook. And a Sunday, folk came up, had their lemonade and all the different things, biscuits and snowballs and all those sort of things.
Just again, if you could tell us again what people bought at the shop, what sort of things?
Oh yes.
What sort of things did they buy?
The store, the cooperative had snowballs, and they were just what you can get snowballs now.
But just what would people buy from the shop itself?
Well, it was just lemonade, ice cream. My gran made ice cream because we had the ice work along the road, so we'd get ice from there, and they made the ice cream themselves. And so they were selling ice cream, lemonade, cigarettes, and biscuits and sweets, you know.
And that would be to people walking. Forgive me, but I'm terrible with numbers. Can you tell me the date? What sort of date would that be?
Well, that would be probably during the First World War or just after it.
That was before the castle was pulled down?
Oh yes, the castle was pulled down in 1928.